I'm gonna do it, especially because I think you won't like it. I'm gonna. People are gonna get to see Kitty Cam. There it is. All right. Here we go. There we go. People are gonna get to see Kitty Cam. There we go. There's Kitty Cam. There we go. Look at you. What are you doing? Nobody's ever seen. Don't you fall. This is the pre-show. Pre-show Kitty Cam. That's right. It's the pre-show. Oh my goodness, she's got her head right in there. Luckily, that's mine, not the guests. Meow meow. Oh my god. All right, yeah, yeah. I love you so much. We have to start the show now. We have to start the show now. Tori's on the line. All right, let's start the show. She has not left. She is still over there. She's scratching on the bookcase there. The little.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love it. She never comes out. That's so amazing. All right, all right. Let's see. Let's get serious. Let's get down to business here. Welcome back to the Late Night Playset. My name is Jay Ryan. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Tuesdays with Tori. Thursday edition. Like I said, my name is Jay Ryan. Mrs. Ryan is on assignment, but we do have our buddy Tory Alonzo here, and I'm just going to bring him right on in. What is up, brother?
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm great. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome back, of course. I feel that for the sake of us, and this is the first time with us using all this stuff, we should probably just do a little technical. You can hear me and everything. You're good?
It's like you're in my living room. It's amazing. I love technology.
It is pretty
Most
amazing.
of the time. Most of the time.
I think in my little pre-show, I lost my remote that I use to control the volume. So by all means, say hello, and I'll be right back.
What's up, guys? What's going on out there? It's been quite the week. I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about tonight. My apologies. I know we're trying to do this a little more formatted and have me on Tuesdays, but unfortunately, this week I had my yearly FAA certification stuff for my real job, and it kept getting pushed back because of COVID, obviously. So.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, I was supposed to do this back in March, and this is like they literally are just catching up with all of the stuff. So, I had to fly to Baltimore on Tuesday. Actually, I flew there Monday night because the class was Tuesday morning. I wouldn't have made it in time, so I had to do that. But all is good now. So I'm a flight attendant for another year.
Yeah, well, at least you're good to go. We should probably, for the sake of everyone else, we should probably pick up where we left off, which we were hoping to talk a little bit about some of the kids and everything that we wanted to talk about, the youth and Porsche and everything. We're going to put that on hold. We're going to talk about that stuff next week because a lot of stuff in the world has happened over the past week.
What a week.
And gosh, I feel like for the sake of, I even put it in the little log line there. I feel like for the sake of you and just diving right in so we can relax afterwards, let's just get right into Petrolicious, buddy. What's going on?
Oh God,
what happened with Petrolicious? And then let's talk about your position on it.
I opened such a can of worms. Well, I guess there were a lot of cans of worms that were opened. So for those who don't know, apparently the founder and CEO of Petrolicious, Afshin, who I don't even know this guy. I've never met him before. Whatever I know about Petrolicious. I was more a fan of them when Ted Gashu was kind of at the helm and curating things, and I don't know, like there's been a change. There's been a little rift in the videos, and they're a little more bougie lately, and I don't know. It seems like they've kind of gotten away from what they originally were trying to do.
Sounds like you're saying content-wise, you've sort of
I don't know. I don't know. It's just different now. Like I used to really care for them. This is before all this like hell broke loose this week or whatever. And
okay.
So this week, apparently, some very unbecoming things were found on the CEO founder's Facebook page. And
Ugh.
I mean, like, yeah, like not great stuff, man. Like, I mean, I'm the last person to want to get into politics. Like, I like to keep it about cars, trust me.
Yeah.
But it just stuff that was said that just wasn't very nice, and calling certain groups that are going through some hard times right now domestic terrorists and all of this, and I was like, man, that's not cool. I mean, I feel like all of our problems are so easily answered. Just be fucking nice to each other. Like, I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
what's so hard about that
Decency, sure.
lately. Just be decent to people. I mean, it's hard to, like, I try not to judge people because, unless you walk a mile in their shoes, you don't know what they're going through. And so I posted something on my Instagram the other day, a little logo of Petrolicious with a little Ghostbusters type red cross through it, just saying that, hey, I'm not down with what this guy's saying, and haven't been watching Petrolicious videos for a while, and
You're talking
yeah,
about
you
the
know what I'm
anti,
talking
like
about.
you would say,
Yeah,
like no smoking, no parking, just the circle with the
exactly.
line through it.
Yeah, so come
Yeah.
to find out that's now I guess that's the cancel sign. I didn't know that. So
Okay.
the Ghostbusters were canceling ghosts back in the
Well,
80s before it
whether
was
whether the
cool.
sign whether you and I have it's important everyone else knows. You and I have not talked about this. In fact, we've
No,
specifically not talked at
purposely,
all week so that
purposely.
we could do it
Yeah.
here for the show.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, because when you and I talk on the phone, then it's like, oh, well, this would have been really good content for the show, so let's just
We
not
blow it,
talk.
yeah.
And it's hard, but yeah. So
Well, so whether or not you realized the logo was sort of cancel culture, what you were doing was certainly cancel culture. Was that the
I don't
intention?
know. No, it was not my intention. It was
Okay.
my intention was, this is my personal Instagram feed.
Hmm.
I'm done with Petrolicious. I wasn't telling everyone to boycott Petrolicious. I wasn't telling everyone to, only listen to my opinion because nobody gives a shit what I think. I don't think, So it's like the fact that everybody got in this heated argument on my stupid thread about a stupid,
Try to pull
Petrolicious
it up here.
thing. Oh, it was bad. I mean, it was
Well, I
it
don't
was
want to get into
really
the nitty
really
gritty
bad.
of comments and everything, but I do want to
Well,
get
no, I
into
won't. But I did certainly
yeah, and
lose
you
some
hashtag
followers
drive out
over it.
hate. That's what. So it was the
That's it. That's
Petrolicious.
all I said. I didn't say boycott. I said I even like if you read the post, it even says no more Petrolicious for me, not like hey y'all don't watch Petrolicious videos anymore. But my buddy Jason Torchinsky, who writes for Jalopnik, wrote this story, and that's I think what really kind of blew everything up. So people were
Gotcha.
going on Afshin's, Instagram, and he had to like disable comments. It was this whole mess. But yeah, it got way out of proportion, way
Well,
out of proportion.
yeah. I mean, it's.
I
I
don't
see
feel like
both
I was
sides of this one.
promoting
I really
cancel
do.
culture.
What's that?
I don't feel like I was promoting a cancel culture. I was just saying I personally,
Well, I'm
if
going to
that's
read
how this guy
people saw
thinks,
the picture. It's a
go for it. Yeah.
Petrolicious logo with the no ghost thing, and no room in our hobby for bigotry or hate. Certainly agree there. There's way too many other positive and talented filmmakers out there like Ren Films or Valkyrie Films or ML Auto Photo to get our car porn fix from. Plenty of car porn out there, you're right. No more Petrolicious for me, period. Feel free to share or repost this logo with the hashtag DriveOutHate. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Hopefully this encourages some up-and-coming filmmakers to start making their own amazing content. Technology has never been cheaper and more within our grasp. I mean, you make some good points, and you certainly are encouraging to a certain area, but you definitely are clear about, I'm done over here.
Yeah, me on my post. It's funny
Yeah.
because I had, and the same thing happened to Rod Emery. I don't know if you know this or not, but like a couple of weeks ago, I think there was like when everyone just kind of took a break from social media, and they just posted the black square. Oh man, like I saw some of
Oh, I
his
did it. Well,
comments,
that
and
was the blackout. Yeah, sure. I
everybody
mean,
did. Yeah, because it was just like, hey, let's focus on something more important than ourselves for a change, and
that
I
was
could get
June
with that.
1st. That was 1 month ago yesterday.
Well,
It
there
was
you
mine.
go. How fitting. There you go. So, oh man, I went and read like some of the comments on Rod's posts, and like people were like, "Get back in the shop and just build a car." That's what I'm here
Yeah.
for. And I was
Gosh, I
like,
mean,
"Geez,
when you've
man!"
got
Like,
that big of a following, I mean, you
right?
know how it is. You just can't please anybody no matter what. And when you've got that
I
big a
don't know how it
following,
is. I don't have a big
the
following,
bookends are wider. Yeah. The
but
bookends
yeah,
are
I get
further
what
and
you're
further
saying.
apart. You and
Oh
I, with a few
man,
thousand
so
people, you don't really, a couple people can get under your skin. I would
hmm
assume with when you're in the hundreds of thousands of followers and stuff like that, when all of that racket is coming at you all the time, I have to assume you get better at tuning it out Do
Probably
you
so.
think? I mean,
And
I assume so.
well, I mean, I know a lot of people don't even bother reading their comments. Like, I mean, I had this talk with Matt Farrow when I was on his show years ago, and we were talking about just how nasty people are behind the keyboard these days, and
And
YouTube
that was
comments,
then.
how those are the worst, and he doesn't even read them anymore. He's like, it's not even worth it, and it's not. I mean, but I mean,
When you don't respond to comments, do people then get all upset? Do they then get all, how come, well, I mean, how come they're not on the other end?
I think so because then they know that you don't really care, and you're not, getting into that argument. So, but I
Yeah,
still
but
responded to
to
a
me it
couple of
doesn't
them.
translate to I don't care. I understand that may be the appearance to the other side, but it doesn't translate to I don't care to me.
Right.
Sometimes it's like you said. I mean, like you sound like he couldn't even didn't want the drama of it. Some people can't
Right.
handle it. I mean, I myself, when it first started, I was never good at dealing with the criticism. My whole life, I'm not good at dealing with. That's hence the artist, the whole
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm susceptible anyway. But even with a small amount, I just have to assume that when you scale up to those levels, you
It just
gotta
gets
get
worse.
maybe not used to it,
Yeah.
but you gotta get tolerant of it. I would think.
I would think so. I don't know. So, long story short, I lost some followers, but I gained some cool ones. So, whatever. I mean,
Well,
if
I
people
think
think
if you
that
were
that's
doing what,
terrible of me to demand decency in humans, then whatever. I don't need you following me anyway. And I told some people that. I'm like, look, if you don't, I'm not asking you to agree with me. If you're that butthurt about it, then it's really easy to unfollow me. So, unfollow me. So,
I
whatever.
mean, I think that's a healthy position. I think that's a
I mean,
healthy
I wasn't
position. I mean, this
right.
is
I
just
mean, I was.
social media after all.
It is. It is. So, I don't know.
For me, it just came down to if someone is posting hateful things, I then want to have a conversation with that person. I mean, you brought it up to me earlier that day before your post and everything. You said, "Hey, did you see what's going on with Petrolicious?" I was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't follow
Mm-hmm.
anything." And
Right.
when I went and looked a little bit, I saw, oh, okay, people said he posted some stuff, and I saw the stuff, and of course, if you just look, I mean, it looks inflammatory to me for sure, but I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what the guy meant, and I do
Right.
know that as somebody who says the wrong thing almost daily, at some
Well,
point,
we
and
all do.
sometimes
Nobody's
here where there's a
perfect.
record of it,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's me misspeaking for what I actually meant to say, that's bad enough,
Mm-hmm.
or someone else taking what I said not as I meant it, that's bad,
Right.
or sometimes you just like accidentally say the wrong thing, and that's that happens to
Yeah.
everybody.
It does. It does.
So,
We're all
and
human.
then of course there's, oh, I intended this, and no, I don't like, and this is what I mean, and that's how I feel, and that's seems to be what everyone is jumping to a conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
and no more Petrolicious. I'm not
Right.
willing to do that without a conversation. I read the thing. Yeah, I know people are saying, oh, straight PR babble. I'm like, yeah, but it's also kind of like the right way to handle it. I don't know what else somebody would
I don't know.
do. I
Yeah.
don't
Well,
think
it's one of those damned if you do and damned if you don't.
that's
I
what
mean,
I
if he didn't
feel.
release a statement, then people would have said, "Oh, he obviously feels this way." He releases a statement. It's like you can't win at that point. There's
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
He was getting flack for backpedaling, and then he's getting flack for saying the things in the first place. So I mean, I do see both sides, and it does suck. But I don't know. For me personally, in all fairness, Jason Torchinsky, my friend who wrote that article on Jalopnik, he reached out to him and was like, "Hey, here's your chance. Like, if you didn't mean that, you
Oh,
know, tell us what you think." And then he never heard back.
that's a bummer.
So, I mean,
I mean,
they did reach
I
out to
know him.
try
I
and get
mean,
both
we've
sides.
met.
Yeah.
I knew him way back in the day before Petrolicious was really a big deal. He had just opened that garage. He only had his personal cars in there. They were printing out stickers and putting T-shirts in envelopes. You know what I mean? It was
Mm-hmm.
6, 7 years ago, whatever it was.
Right.
I don't know him to be that person, the person that people are
Mm-hmm.
calling him out to be. I don't know him that well. It's not like we hang out, but I have met him. I had conversations with him, and I'm also a pretty good judge of character. Not perfect, by no means perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get that vibe from him. I don't get that vibe from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say that I'm not wrong or that his feelings haven't changed in the last 5+ years. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just I'm not willing to jump on the bandwagon without either having a conversation or finding out from him, what he meant.
Right.
But for
And
God's
that's
sake,
totally fair
everything
enough.
you
I
said,
mean,
I agree with. No room for hate. No room for. I mean,
yeah.
all we do is preach love, and that's why this room is so colorful. It's all about the color bars and the fact that we're all different and celebrating that.
Yeah.
That
And I
to
mean,
me
we
is
need
what
that
art's all
more
about.
now than ever. My God. I mean, everything's and you know what? That stupid little post yesterday or whenever it was, day before, I don't remember when it was. that
It's got
that
legs.
shows that shows me how polarized we are as a country right now, because it was like, here's the line in the sand, where
You got
are
your own
you?
little taste.
Yeah, I did. But it's so weird because I mean, I'm not, I mean, again, not to talk politics, but I mean, I'm a pretty conservative person as far as politics are, all things considered. But I don't really fit in any box. I mean, I have a
No.
concealed permit, I carry guns, but, but I also am for gay rights. My sister's a lesbian. So, I'm not your
You're all over the
typical.
map.
I am all over the map. I mean, I basically don't hurt kids or animals and we're good.
Yeah.
Like
How do
that's
you
kind
feel
of
about
where I.
abortion? No, don't answer that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. It was kind of an eye opening experience, and I definitely got all the stick to cars posts, but whatever.
Oh,
It
I
is
saw
what
a
it
couple of
is.
those. I didn't read everything, but I saw a couple of
Yeah.
those. I came here
I
for
mean,
cars, not for politics.
I I would say I definitely got more in support of people saying, hey, yeah, we don't need that in our hobby than anything else. So that was cool. But whatever, I won't do that again, I guess. Learn
Well,
my
I'll tell you,
lesson
it's
there.
controversy week here on Late Night Playset because yesterday we had our friend. I don't know if you happened to see yesterday's show, but we had our friend Winston Bird on, who's one of our first guests ever, and
Hmm.
he's a professional trumpet player, and he plays with honestly with like everybody, but we know him of course through the Craig Robinson band, the Nasty Delicious,
Oh, cool.
and he's exceptionally talented, but he's going through something right now that apparently has been going on for years, but with his racism in the union, or alleged, I should say very clearly, alleged
Hmm.
racism within the union. And he, it was like blowing whistles. He released a video and he got his attorney involved and a whole bunch of shit. And so we had
Hmm.
a really long conversation with him yesterday. This all of a sudden feels like no big deal. It's like, all right, well, he may
Right.
not have even meant it, so this may just blow over.
Right. 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 I mean, in the
Versus
grand
something
scheme of
else
things, I'm
that'll
sure it
probably end
will.
up going
Yeah.
to court and lasting months and months and months, if not years.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
So
it
there's a
seems
lot
like
of
we have
stuff
such
going on
a.
in the world.
There is, yeah. Well, people have a really short attention span as well. I mean, that was yesterday. What's tomorrow going to be? I mean, and that just seems to be how things are going lately.
Do you
So
notice that
yeah.
more with the polarity that you mentioned earlier of the country? Do
Oh,
you
I
notice that
do.
that's sort of
Yeah.
happening side by side?
Oh, yeah. It's all.
Yeah.
That's the universe is weird right now. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that going on.
You look really, really good. I couldn't help but notice in the wide shot that I think your doggy went by, which makes this the two pet
Yeah,
show.
one of the dachshunds went
The
by
first two
like
pet
over
show. Yeah.
that way. Yeah, yeah. Well, the other one's sitting right behind me in the seat, so you can't see her. But yeah, she's
Can
there
can we
too.
keep this shot here and can we just talk about your little set there? Because
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, are
I'm
you calling
adding
that
to it.
done now? That looks incredible.
I don't know. I've still got some stuff coming. I added. Let me see if I can point the right direction. I added James Dean up here, and
Yep.
then I've got my little. That's the helmet that I used to wear when I had my Beck 550. Here, let me
It
see that.
looks
There we
really
go.
good where you
Somewhere
put it. It looks
there.
everything looks
Cool.
way better placed than it did the other day.
Why, thank you. And
Did
then
you
I
kind of
got
set
this
up your
really
camera and
cool.
look, or did you just figure it out?
No, I literally got on here like 5 minutes ago, and then I got this really cool print off of really bad directions. This right here is a really cool print of Hans Hermann at Le Mans by a guy named, I think, Basil Smith in England. He was like an automotive artist, kind of like Mark Dwight and Hunziker, partners, kind of like that. I think all he does is like automotive art, and I loved that shot. It was really cool because it's like Hans Hermann in the pits, and it was neat. So yeah, I'm just adding stuff here and there, but I
I
would
think it looks
by
very
no means
cool.
call it done. Well,
But
thank
you
you, man. I
definitely have
appreciate that.
curated a little area, and you did lower the
Try
carpe
to
the calendar down a little bit.
a little bit. Yep. So just getting there.
That's awesome. All right, so what else has been going on since you were gone?
Oh man, like so many things. Well, like I go into these little like well, Ray likes to call them deep dives, and that's kind of what it is. I'll get into like these like last week it was the Salzburg 917, and this week I'm getting all this stuff from eBay. Um, do you totally different subject? Well, kind of not, but do you when you're laying in bed at night on your phone, do you get on eBay? Because that's trouble. Like I know they have
Not
apps where like
I
it'll
no,
block you
not
from
anymore.
porn.
But there was a time when yes, eBay,
It's bad. Yeah, yeah,
Craigslist,
yeah.
Auto Trader. I mean, you name it. I was on
Uh,
all of them
yeah.
until
So I'm
sometimes
like,
4 in the morning, especially if there's an auction on the East Coast that ends at midnight or
yeah.
something. It's
Yeah, it's the worst. So like
yeah.
so this week all this Salzburg 917 stuff is showing up because I was just like all into this car last weekend, just wanting to find out everything I could about it, and so now all this stuff's showing up. So So this week's little deep dive for me was the Chaparral like prototype cars of the 1960s. Do you know about these cars? They're
I,
really cool.
yes, but I don't know anything about what you're about to say, and I did see you posting, and the pictures are awesome. The cars look so
Yeah, they're
cool.
really cool. So I grew up primarily in Midland, Texas, which is in West Texas, and there's not many claims to fame from Midland. There's not much there. I think Tommy Lee Jones went to my high school,
What?
which yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And so he was like our famous guy that left Midland and never looked back. And I actually met him in Circuit City one day when I was working at Circuit City.
Dated
Remember that
reference,
store?
Circuit City.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he came in and he bought the Batman Forever soundtrack, and because that's when Batman Forever
With
came out, and
Seal?
he was, yeah, but
With the kiss from
he
a
was in
rose
it.
and all
He
that?
was, yeah, 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 yeah. That one. He was in it. He was Two Face in that movie, so he bought that
1997?
soundtrack. It
Oh, he
had to have been
was.
around this.
He
Yeah, he
was. Oh
was.
my
Yeah, so
god.
that's why we were laughing about it. But he would come back to Midland every now and then and play polo. So that was like the big, famous guy from Midland or whatever. And then of course the Bushes lived there. Laura, I believe Laura Bush, the first lady, first lady, was from Midland. But
Barbara Bush.
Barb,
Oh, Laura, the
no,
W's
Laura,
wife. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right. Right.
W's wife, I believe, was from Midland. And my high school was Robert E. Lee. Not to get all political again, and I think it's still Robert E. Lee. And I mean, we would wave Confederate flags, and like it wasn't a racist thing back then. But things
No,
have
I
changed so
know.
much just in 20
Getting
years.
back
It's
to the
crazy.
Dukes of
But
Hazzard again.
yeah, I know. Like not to get back on the politics thing, but that's how I grew up. It was just that era. But anyways, so one other famous name that came out of Midland, Texas was Jim Hall, who was the founder of Chaparral Cars. And back in the 60s, this guy, and I used to pass his shop all the time. It was on Rankin Highway, south of the interstate in Midland.
I
And
think I figured out how to share my phone up here. Should I pull up any of these pictures on at
yeah,
any
if you want,
time?
yeah, yeah, that would kind of
Okay.
give some pretext or whatever to what we're saying or whatever. So I've always kind of been obsessed with these cars, knowing they were from Midland. And what's cool about these cars is Jim Hall was an engineer, and this guy thought so far outside of the box that he'd come up with a car that had active aero or these crazy tall wings or whatever, and then they would end up banning him for the next season, so he'd have to build a new car to be competitive. And he just had some amazing ideas. I mean, just really, really cool stuff. And so the picture that you're showing now in particular, here's a really cool story, and it's kind of a side tangent, but stick with me, it's cool. So
Sure.
the guy that's in this photo, his name is Franz Weiss. Okay, he was Jim Hall's chief engine builder, crew chief, you name it. I mean, this guy was a wizard. And I read an article by Mario Andretti. It was an interview with him, and they said, "Who do you consider the best engine builder out there?" And he said, "For Chevrolet engines, Franz Weiss, like hands down." And this is coming from Mario Andretti, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so these guys, did all of this stuff. They had their own proving grounds. They did a lot of testing for GM because they could do it year round in Midland, Texas, because the weather is a lot better than up in Michigan. So they have this track called Rattlesnake Raceway that's in Midland. I used to pass this all the time, and of course, I didn't have the appreciation for vintage racing back then, but I was still very much into cars. And so in high school, I drove my Volkswagen to school, and we had assigned parking. And
Of course.
yeah, yeah. So the girl that I parked next to, her name was Annie Weiss. Well, Franz is her dad.
Oh my
And
gosh.
our senior year, I think it was our senior year, all the like well-to-do kids were getting their like, Mustang GTs and like and I still had my crappy Bug. I didn't care. We didn't come for money, and like I had to pay for everything myself. So I would park my Bug next to Annie's car. Well, Annie, her senior year, rolls up in the Indy 500 pace car. And it's a
Sweet.
Camaro. It was a black and white Camaro with like these kind of rainbow looking pinstripes on the side. And it wasn't, how they'll do like a run of like 150 of the pace car edition,
Totally.
cars or whatever. Well, hers was the car. Like hers was the one that actually ran around the Indy 500. And it took me years, but I figured out that that's how she got that car, is because by that point, I believe he had split off from Jim Hall. He was doing his own thing, and I think he had a company called like VDS or something, and he built like IndyCar engines. That's what he did. And so
Wow.
so that's that guy. But what's so cool is I found this picture the other day, And there he is at the 1966 Daytona race that, the 906 prototype that I'm so enamored by raced at. So it's
That's
like
so
this weird.
cool.
I mean, there's 6 degrees of separation. This is like two. So, but it was cool. Like I got to park next to, his daughter in this Indy pace car at high school, and I just kind of took it for granted, because I mean,
That's
I
not a
wasn't ever a
euphemism,
Camaro
right?
or
We're all agreeing.
yeah, it's kind of cool. So,
Yeah,
so yeah,
very cool.
I've lost touch with her. Obviously, she ran in a different crowd. She was much more popular than me, but we were always cool because we had the car connection. So that was kind of neat. But I'd love to go back to Midland. All of the Chaparral cars are actually on display now.
Hmm.
At the Petroleum Museum, which I used to take field trips to when I was a kid. So I'd love to go back there if I could, if I ever start flying again, and then maybe get a Midland overnight and just rent a car and go check out the cars. But all of his cars are on display, so it's kind of cool. But
Just a real quick segue. In first of all, that was totally, totally interesting. Very cool story. I realized that you flew for work the other day, not actually doing your job, just for training. But what was it like? That was your first time flying in how many months?
yeah, it was my first time flying. I think my last trip was sometime in April, maybe like mid-April, towards the end of April.
At least 2 or so months.
Yeah, it's been a while. When I got to Pittsburgh, ghost town, nobody there. When I flew, let's see, my flight, it was probably half full, I guess, and we're still blocking off middle seats. Some of the airlines, like American, I think now are starting to lift the flight caps, so like you're gonna have someone next to you because flights are getting full again. When I got to Baltimore, it was packed. I mean, you wouldn't know that there was anything going on. There was people everywhere. It was crazy. But so yeah, it was weird.
Why
But
more so in Baltimore? Just a busier airport or
I
the hub of
guess I don't know.
Washington?
I guess so. Yeah, I mean
Because
it's a
it's
big
either
connector city
BWI or
for us,
Dulles for Washington, right? Or I guess Virginia
right?
too.
And a lot of our like connecting flights go through Baltimore. Like once all this COVID stuff started, then we kind of started doing away with a lot of the nonstops, and then like making people connect through certain cities just to consolidate airplanes. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. So
Wow.
yeah, so I had to do my little FAA training or whatever. I did that, and then I flew back last night actually. So yeah, now I'm back. So
Well, welcome back.
well,
Tuesdays with
thank you. I
Tori,
appreciate
Thursday
that.
edition.
I know. Tuesday,
There's
Thursday
there's
edition.
absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. I Tuesdays with Maury, Tuesdays with Tori.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's,
No, it
that's all
works.
it
We'll
was.
we'll just go with that name, even if it's Wednesdays. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
whatever. But
Let's see. All right. Petrolicious was of course the first thing on here.
uh, yeah,
Kitty Cam was funny. I didn't even have to throw to it because we had the Kitty Cam in here. COVID, we sort of discussed a little bit with the flying and everything. But what is it like over there? Because over here, starting to get more serious, way more serious than
here
it was the
too.
last time,
Yeah.
and
So here,
and
here
and
too.
and we already did it,
hmm
and then it didn't work. So you know what I mean? We're here again.
Yeah, the same exact things happening in Pennsylvania. As a matter of fact, today in Allegheny County, which is Pittsburgh, which is like an hour south of me, they reclosed all the restaurants, bars, casinos, and then statewide, Governor Wolf has now mandated masks in all public places, whether you're outside, inside, wherever. It doesn't matter. You have to wear
Yeah,
a
we
mask.
have that too.
So yeah, so it's we're going right back to it again, which I'm not crazy about. But what are you gonna do?
It's wild, isn't it? I mean, I'm thinking of
It's
everybody at
weird.
home and everybody that we check in with, at Breakfast Club. Or we really don't go much of anywhere. We went to Malibu Kitchen the other day for the
Mm-hmm.
first time since this started, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
It was
guessing. I
blowing
think
up,
I
man.
went one time when it first started, and she stayed home, like she's staying in the house, kind of thing, and I went just to get muffins or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that was it. But we hadn't been in forever. It was everyone was very respectful with the mask and the distancing. I will say that, which was awesome. But it was a
Mm-hmm.
zoo. I mean, a
Yeah.
zoo. It was packed,
It looks crazy. Well, I mean, there
crazy.
was so many people there. Like my buddy went specifically just to kind of try and meet you or whatever, and he got
Yeah, and
mobbed
we
as
didn't
soon
even
as
get
he.
to meet.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But I mean, I'm sure you'll meet one of these days. But
Oh, I think so. I'm gonna
but
put this picture up of him of his car because I
yeah, Bill's
posted that.
awesome. If you guys don't follow Zero Auto Gallery, he's got the other short tail from Ford v Ferrari. Super nice guy. We've helped each other out a lot with trying to perfect these cars. And well, this will segue into the next thing. So my other buddy, Steve, he owns the green Longtail from Ford v Ferrari. His car is parked right next to Jeff Zwart's 906 right now as we speak at the Lions Air Museum for a big deal that was, I think, supposed to happen this weekend, and now they're saying that museums have to be closed.
It's not
So
this
I
one,
don't
is
even
it?
know. Yeah, that one. Uh huh.
Oh,
So I
that's
don't
so
even know
funny.
if. Yeah,
Well,
so I
do you
don't even
know
know.
St. Clair Insurance?
I
Jeff
don't
St.
know
Clair?
St. Clair Insurance. That's not him. That's who he insured
No,
the
no,
car
but you
through.
know
So I
Jeff
think
St.
they
Clair?
just. No, no, I don't know
Shout
Jeff
out to
St.
Jeff
Clair.
St. Clair. You should totally follow him too. He was at Breakfast Club the other day with this car and had all the Targa stickers on it. Super, super cool. Great guy.
Oh, how
Friend of
funny. So he's
Paul
like the
Kennels.
insurance. So he's like actually an insurance provider or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the latest
Oh,
cool
that's
ride
cool.
covered by St. Clair Insurance.
Yeah, so
Isn't that
that's my buddy. Yeah,
it's
yeah, that's my buddy Steve. So
so awesome?
he lives in Orange County, but yeah, he was hoping to have that car, to where people could see it at Lions, and I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that now. So it's like it's just a bummer, man. And like Rex McAfee was out there taking pictures of it, and of course everyone's tagging me on that car. It's like, oh, you have no idea. Like I've been in contact with him since the day he bought it, helping each other out. But really, really cool guy. So I don't know. I don't. Who knows what's gonna happen now? I mean, it's unfortunate because
We've still been going up to Breakfast Club every week just because I'd say that every time, but with her and the nature, the sunshine, all that stuff's really good for her. And
hmm
so we've been doing it and just picking up a box of donuts and a box of Joe. They call it at Dunkin' Donuts, a big jug of
yeah,
coffee. And it's been nice. It's been fun. People are respectful. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if this currently I feel okay doing it. All right, I shouldn't even say that. I didn't feel okay doing it in the beginning, but I did feel okay with going up there with my wife. So we didn't post or whatever, and we just got our little
hmm
goodies and we went up there. But sure enough,
right,
of course, we have a car and we didn't post anything. And sure enough, we have a
hmm
car that's noticeable. So people say, "Oh, we're still doing it. Oh, the whole thing." And then it became a thing. And I'm not sorry that people have continued. It's been wonderful. It's actually been
hmm
one of the things that sort of kept our sanity throughout all
yeah,
this.
exactly.
You can't hug and you can't get too close to each other, but seeing familiar faces, somehow there's something with that. I don't know now. I mean, it's like, oh, if they shut everything down again and the restaurants are closed again, I don't, Newcomb's hasn't been
I
open the
know,
whole time. That's what the donuts and
right.
distancing has been all about. But I don't know. I don't know. I
It's
can't
a
believe we're
bummer.
about to go in again. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about any of it. I'm
I
not
don't know
scared
either.
of any of it, but like there's a little bit of anxious anticipation this time because we just did that.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be out. Oh, we're going back in
I
again. Oh,
know.
great.
Well, now the
See you in
next thing's
2021.
already. Yeah, now the next thing's already on the horizon. Like they're already talking about this, the swine flu. Now there's like a really super bad strain of Chinese flu that's gonna make its way over here. It's like Jesus, guys. Like I don't know what to believe anymore, man. I really don't. So
What what
that's why I
what
like where I live.
Yeah, but you always keep your smile on. You always keep your head about you. How do you do that when sometimes things are getting a little rough?
I don't turn on the news. That's how.
I do the
I
same
just
thing. When I
yeah,
need a
I
little
just
time away, I take
unplug,
some time
dude.
away.
I just unplug. I just try to stay busy here and do stuff around the lake or whatever. Like I'm fortunate that I live out here and it's kind of like a nice little bubble and I can still be outside and not have to worry about anything because there's never groups of a lot of people out here. So that's what I try to do and stay busy in the shop and
Stay busy. That's
work on
huge.
something.
That's another
Yeah.
one. Shoot, you definitely stay busy is great. Stay active. All the things that you would
hmm
normally go exercise, go work out, go.
Yeah, go walk the dog,
Pre-
do something,
but now pretty much all you can do is go read a book or write
That's
one.
all
I
you can
guess
do. Yeah,
pick up painting, start
exactly.
new hobbies. I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Have you done
Yeah.
any of that stuff?
It's
Because you've been active on the car. You probably haven't had much time.
I haven't had much time. We've been so busy. Well, now we're into post with this video that we're trying to put together about the 906. So, I don't know. Did we talk about the second day that we shot
I don't think so. I
last week?
think
I don't
I
even
think you were
remember. Oh
going
my
into
gosh,
it
that was a
last time.
nightmare. Yeah, so it started to rain. So like I broke my rule about never getting that car wet, and like, dude, that car is so not watertight. So like I've got rain coming in and like everything that was spotless and pristine and like ready, for its next appearance, like went out the window. So I spent the entire day after we did that second shoot. It was totally worth it. We got some amazing shots and the rural like drone shots are going to be amazing. Like maybe even more so than what we did on the track. And that's going to be hard to beat. But, so yeah, I spent the whole day, the next day, like completely cleaning the car all over again, and but it's kept me busy. I can't complain. So Yeah.
But people don't probably realize exactly what that means. To clean the car again, you have to have someone
Oh,
help
I
you
mean,
take the
like we're
clamshell off, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had to take the clamshell off. I basically took the headlight like coverings off, like the plexi coverings, because that's none of that's watertight. I mean, it's meant to basically like protect the headlights, I think, from stones breaking them and whatnot. But like water
Yeah,
can
and keep
certainly
the
get in
airflow
if you're.
moving.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to take all that apart. I mean, take all the wheels off, clean everything. I'm like, well, while I'm under here, I might as well change the oil one more time because I think it's only had one oil change with the break-in oil when I got it. So change the oil again. And I was actually talking to you when I went to go get the oil. And yeah, so it's all back together now. It's pretty again. I did another ceramic coating on it, and it's pretty, but I haven't driven it since just because I don't want to get it dirty again. Um, because
You
it's
just
such a
parked it in the barn
pain.
and that's it?
That's it, dude. It's in the barn. And I've got the car cover on it. And I haven't really messed with it since. And it's
Oh
been
my
it's been
God, that's so
unbearably
funny.
hot. Well, I mean, it's not like the weather's been bad. I could have driven it and enjoyed it, and it wouldn't have gotten dirty again. But it's just so hot. It's just not a fun car to drive when it's really hot. That would be like the perfect fall car, and it's going to be gone this fall. But that's okay. I don't care. It's going to be worth it, and I'll
Man,
be able to share it with people. So that'll be cool.
I took a picture of your friend's the one up at Malibu Kitchen the other day, 58. I
Bill's
took a
is
picture of
amazing.
it, and I don't know if it's in here or not.
Bill's car
But
is so cool.
let me see if I can find it. I would love for you to then tell everybody what the story is behind this picture, if that's all right. And I think you'll
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean.
Of
Oh,
course.
here it is. Great, great, great. All right.
So Rolf Stomlin originally is the guy that drove that car in Le Mans, the real version of that car. And you see the missing plexi there, that little chunk that's out of the
That's what I
plexi.
want you to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, so
What's
I
up with
think a
that?
lot of people thought, well, I mean, unless you look at that little broken piece in the corner, I think most people are just like, oh, that's for airflow. No, that's the car. If you watch the movie, they did 3 takes of it, but the stunt driver had to like pull this hydraulic e-brake and then basically like pitch it into a big billboard. And so they got into a little bit of a battle in the movie. Um, and they had to do this take like 3 times. So there's like stress cracks over there from where it hit the sign, and then I think it took a chunk of that plexi out, but that's why that is. But Bill's
I
just done
like
an
that he hasn't
amazing
put it
job with
back
that
in,
car.
though. I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
that
Well, it's I think if he could, he would, but it's just so expensive to like form
because
that
you have
kind
to
of
do
fiberglass
the whole.
or the
I'm
plexi.
assuming that's
Yeah,
heated and bent in the whole bit,
yeah,
all
yeah,
custom made. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So where I've actually talked to the guys that built those cars. It was a company called Ghostlight, and it's in the valley. And they do a lot of picture car stuff. But what they did on these cars was just amazing. I mean, 3D printers, and I mean, they completely reverse engineered this car, and scratch built the chassis. Like, it's pretty crazy. So I talked to Steve today, and Steve said that they told him they spent $125,000 on each chassis, just the chassis.
Good grief, because they were all
It's
custom made.
like, wow, yeah,
Did they have a
yeah.
real 906 in there that they were basing it
No, they
off of,
never did.
or
No, no, no. You know what they built it off of? They reverse engineered it. They scaled it up from a 118 scale mini champs car.
no?
That's what they did. Like, I've got all the they sent me all the pictures of the cars getting built.
I,
And
I
and
I started the movie again the other day. I still haven't finished it, but back to the very, 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 very beginning when Shelby's driving the 356 around L.A. When
right.
Matt Damon as Carol Shelby,
hmm
it's a red 356. What's the deal with that car or those cars?
that
It
was
looks like
built
multiple cars.
that was built by JPS Motorsport, I think, which is also, I believe, in the valley. They
It
they
is.
do
They're
that
right. Yeah, they're
speedster.
right up the street here.
That's who
That's one of
that's
their
who
cars.
Yeah, yeah, they did all the car. They did all of the speedsters for that. So I think there was like 3 maybe because they repainted a couple of them. So the red
Mm.
one, I think the orange one became the red one or something. The orange one from Willow Springs became the red one or vice versa. But I think I want to say, well, I know the guy that owns the red speedster now. So obviously that was
The
shot
Carol Shelby car from
because
the
it's red.
beginning.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I wondered if that was a Subaru powered car just because of the way that they were beating the shit out of it, and it was just, but it's Volkswagen powered. It was like a
Oh, it
2
is.
BMWW
There's a
motor.
shot where they're coming. I mean, it's literally shot like a couple blocks from here,
So you know
right
where
on
exactly where
like the
that's
Cahuenga
happening, right?
Pass when they're going over the 101 and he takes a right, goes down like
Uh
down what
huh.
would be Highland or Cahuenga,
Right.
and he's. I mean, I'm amazed that the wheels stay on this thing.
I know, I know. I mean,
The
I
aggression,
was
and he goes
expecting him.
through the
I
little
know,
divot, the LA street divots, and it's
I know.
sideways.
I know,
I
and it's a
couldn't
beautiful
believe it.
shot because he's like coming this way, and then the camera's going this way, and it's just yeah, and
That's
the thing
exactly
looks
the
like it's
shot.
gonna
Yes.
roll. Yeah, yeah, I know the
Yeah.
shot. Yeah, it's a
I
great
couldn't
one.
believe that the wheels stayed under the car.
I couldn't either. I know it was really cool, but so okay, you'll probably know. So when he leaves the doctor's office after he's gotten the bad news about his heart is failing and he can't race anymore,
Yep.
you can see the Hollywood sign in the background when he walks out and he's getting in the car and he pops the nitroglycerin and then he like does this U and cuts off all these cars. What street is that? Because I tried to find that on
I'll
Google
have to
Maps and
take
I
a look at
couldn't.
it again, but in my mind,
You'll
that
know it
should be
right when you see
Highland
it.
if it's going up to the Hollywood sign. I'm thinking. I
Okay,
think so.
that's probably what it is then. Yeah, but it's so cool because I mean they
Is there a
blocked off.
divider? I can't remember how far the divider goes
No,
up,
there's
but
not a divider because he
you talking about when he
basically
takes
just
the
does
pill
a
and then he makes
U.
he whips a U-turn and goes up the street?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a look again, but it might be Highland.
Okay, cool. I'll be curious to know where that's at because it's such a beautiful shot. 'Cause you see the palm trees, and then you like look up and you can see the Hollywood sign.
Or
It's
Beach.
really
Yeah,
pretty.
what is it? Beechwood? There's another one right in like the heart of Hollywood. Like it
Because I
literally
tried
leads up
looking
to the
up
old
like
Hollywood land, a building, development, which is why they built the sign.
right, because it was Hollywood land originally, right? And then they got rid of the land on the sign,
Yeah,
I
and I want to
think,
say
at one
Beechwood.
point.
Beechwood Canyon
Okay,
I think Beechwood might be that street as well. So it might be. I have to take a
okay,
look at it again. But a
yeah,
lot
I
of
may
the
go
other
back.
locations were all. I mean, there's a place in his garage. I think is down in Mar Vista. The other guy.
I did find that. That's by a park. There's a park right there where they get in the fight and they're like beating each other with the bread and stuff.
Is that Mar
That
Vista by any chance?
I can't remember. I'd
Or
have to look like back where it's at, but I found it. I could tell you where that's at. And that shop is like it's just like a mom and pop kind of an auto repair place, and they just basically took it over and then redressed it. But there's like I thought that the sign they had made for the actual movie, but it's like the Hi Ho convenience store. Hi Ho, no, there's like a laundromat and a Hi Ho something. Well, that's still there. Like if you look up Hi Ho, I don't know what it is, but that's a real place that's still there. So,
That's so funny.
but there's a bunch of places I want to try and find, and the art director couldn't remember all of them because he would just do signs and then like not be on location for certain stuff. But like I'm dying to know where that taco place is that they go to when he's talking about building the GT40 and he's trying to get Ken Miles in on it. But I don't know where that's at. But
I'm
it's a
dying to
really
watch the rest of the
cool.
movie because I remember the first time through, I was trying to keep myself in the movie, but I kept getting distracted by I know where that is, I know where
Yeah.
that is, I know where
I know
that
where
is, I
that
know where
is.
that
Yeah,
is.
that's
Like,
here.
they're going
Yeah.
around Willow the wrong way. Like there were so many different things.
Yeah. Yeah. But I bet you'll know where this restaurant is at. It looks like it's cool because they have like the old school like red tufted booths and it's
Yeah, it's
exactly
only
like
one
how
of
it
three or
was, and
four
it's
different
dressed up.
family-owned Mexican places. If it's in the
Yeah.
Valley, it's probably Casa Vega. It could be El Coyote in Hollywood, El
It
Compadre in
wasn't that because
Hollywood.
I remember that from Once Upon a Time because that's where Sharon Tate had her last meal, I believe.
El
Right?
Compadre or El
No,
Coyote.
El Coyote. Yeah,
Yep.
that's where Sharon Tate had her last meal, and that actually was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And then there's La
But this is a
Cabana
different
down in the
place.
Venice, Santa Monica area. There's like
You'll know
five
this
different like
place, I'm sure.
family-owned places, and they all have that really dark, authentic Mexican with the red. You nailed it. The tufted red booths, like
Yeah.
old school, and old Hollywood. A little bit of
Yeah, it's
Goodfellas,
so cool. Yeah,
just
yeah.
just
It's
a little
so
bit
cool.
of Copacabana in there.
Yeah. They did such a good job on like just the locations and I mean everything in that movie is just so good. Like I still watch it all the time. I've probably seen the movie like 30 times now.
Have you really? This will only be my second time when I finish it. But I did say this. I can't remember if it was on the air or not. But we were talking about Once Upon a Time and Ford versus Ferrari. And Once Upon a Time gets all of these accolades for being, probably the last picture show, like for real, like the last old Hollywood production. I don't disagree with any of that, but I really feel that Ford versus Ferrari is probably the best love letter to Hollywood cinema for how they used to do things
Yeah.
that they don't anymore already, and that was probably the last film that will ever do it.
And that's why it almost didn't get made. Like I think I told you on one show that we did that this film has been in the works since like 2010 or something. I mean,
Because
at
of
one
money,
point,
budget.
yeah, because they could never agree on budgets because all the directors that were attached to it were like, we really need to do this practically with cars, and the studio was like, there's no way we can, I mean, I believe the budget on for just the cars on this film was $22 million.
It's amazing.
$22 million for just the cars. But yeah, they kept pushing it back, and then people would come on and sign on, and then they'd fall out because of scheduling. At one point, Robert De Niro was supposed to play Enzo Ferrari. At another point, Tom Cruise was attached. I'm glad it ended up how it did. Even if Matt Damon looks nothing like Carroll Shelby, I think he did
I
a
don't
great
know.
job as
He
an
doesn't
actor.
look like him, but he's. I mean, I've met
He's
Carroll
so
Shelby.
good though.
I've stood there and I've talked to the man in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was there when
Mm-hmm.
that whole
Mm-hmm.
don't tell me what to do, that whole fucking thing. He had it in
Yeah.
his face. He had the thing in his face that Carroll used to have.
Yeah, it was good, man. Well, that whole scene that he does out at, I think it's the Santa Monica airport where they shot that. It's called Cloverfield, I think is what they called it back
Exactly,
then or whatever.
Cloverfield.
But when they just hit every money shot in that scene because he's giving this talk, and he's talking about how he builds race cars and how there's another guy out there that thought like I did. His name was Henry Ford, and he just goes into this thing and they pan across and they get like the sunspots perfect, and it's got this Ford backdrop in the background, and it's just such a beautiful shot. But he's got the hat on and just I don't know. It was just a really magical scene. Like the way a lot of people give him shit because they're like, oh, he looks nothing like Carol. But I'm with you. Like the soul of Carol was definitely in that part. Yeah, he nailed it, man. And I don't think either of them. They both totally got robbed on that deal. How Christian Bale did not at least get a nomination for Best Actor is beyond.
It's the movie. It had nothing to do with the talent. It was the
Too
movie.
bad.
That's not.
Politics.
It's not the movie that nominates the talent.
Right.
Plus,
Right.
there was a lot of other competition that year too.
There was.
But I
mean,
do
everyone
agree. Ken
thought that-
Mile. I always forget his damn name. But oh, good for you. Good for you. What's his name? Batman.
Who?
Batman.
Oh, Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
Christian-
He's exceptional as Ken Miles in that movie. His performance in that
exceptional
movie is
in
just
everything.
exceptional.
Yeah. He was awesome, and I mean, he lost a lot of weight for that part too. He said, I mean, he had to really like slim down.
Oh, really?
Because he's normally kind of
Oh,
a
to get
bulky
his
guy.
bulk off, probably, because he's usually
Yeah,
so
from like
yeah.
because he's usually
Because
pretty buff when he plays Batman.
He's supposed to be
you
more
know?
like me, like a lanky kind of a.
Yeah,
I'm just working on shit.
Yeah. This is cool, man. It was. It's
How
one of
cool
those
for you to have a
movies-
piece of that history from that movie and a driving
It's-
piece.
It's super special. Like I was super excited about getting this car before it even got here, and I'd go and watch the movie again, and it just when I'd leave the theater and I still didn't have the car yet, I was just like, this is cool. Like I like where this is going. I love that story so much. I relate to that period of racing so much that just to have a piece of that, even if it's not a real 906, is just really cool to me. Like I pinch myself every time I look at the car. It's crazy, and I had to hustle to get that thing. I mean, those cars went so fast. I helped sell a number of them. And
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
did.
those I couldn't write the check for, but they all ended up in really cool homes. So
Wouldn't it have been nice to go there with one of those, the big, the car movers that you can put 12 picture cars on
Yeah.
and just
uh,
drive it away?
I know, because there were so many cars that when we went to the warehouse in Oxnard, when I got to see it, I'd already committed to the car at this point. But my buddy Randy Carlson,
We saw him that
picked me up
morning.
from
He
the
came to
airport.
Breakfast Club that morning before he
that's
picked you
right.
up
Yeah,
at Burbank.
Yeah.
And
he
real
was in the
quick, just hi
Boxster.
to Gary Schechner with no T. He's watching us live over here, and he said a couple things. He says Lion Air is in a few weeks from now, he believes, mid-July.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he loves that car, and hey, and love the format,
Sweet.
by the way. we're trying, Gary. I also owe you a phone call, and I'm going to do that probably tomorrow.
Well, thanks, Gary. Hopefully that Lions thing happens, man. That would be really cool.
And then, do you know who Gary is? Gary is the Porsche gear. That Porsche
Yes.
gear with that Porsche girl and
Yeah,
Gary
he's
Schechner,
doing
the
your
artist.
your shirts that have her shirts with the instruments of
The
your
gauges,
car, right?
exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, well, thanks for watching, Gary. So cool. Hopefully that works. I mean, hopefully it goes off. I mean, right now I think they're trying to find loopholes to where they're going to have something outside. So, but people have to go through the museum to get outside. So if that works out,
Oh.
that's awesome. So I mean, they're looking. I mean, they're trying. So hopefully by then things will change, or who knows. But that'd be a shame because
And then what about you? I mean, I guess everything's up in the air. Same thing for you and your plans with having your car displayed down at Atlanta.
that's still a go from what I
Oh, okay.
talked to. Yeah, I mean, Ray and I have been in constant contact about that. I think that's still a
Well,
go.
you know what's nice
So-
about? Can we talk about Ray Schaefer just for a second? Because If you're not already, please consider following Ray Schaefer for your backstage pass to Porsche brand heritage and travel related material. That's Ray.Schaefer, SHAFFER. Very quickly, Ray Schaefer has been doing the backstage pass segments that he created that we used to do on our show, and he's been doing them for Porsche on the Twitter account, and they're super cool. So I'm thinking, even if people can't go there, the cars are still going to be changing, and Ray Schaefer will then be delivering into the world through Instagram and Twitter and social media and YouTubes and
Definitely.
all the stuffs.
I think that'll definitely happen. And another thing that may be the savior of that is the Heritage Gallery is not necessarily open to the public. That's kind of the perk that if you go and you do the driving, which I believe is still open, or you're doing, sim time with their simulators, then you're granted access to that. I don't know what's going to happen with the viewer. Like they were hoping to do like viewings of movies, and if there's too many people for that, that may not work out. But that may be a saving factor, that the fact that the Heritage Gallery isn't necessarily open to the public. It's not like, I don't think it's like Pekla where you can just like show up and walk in and look at the cars and then leave if you're not doing anything. You know what
Gotcha.
I
It
mean?
has to be
Like
booked
it's
ahead of
more,
time.
yeah, and it's like it's actually like inside more. Like it's not like you have, like
Well, yeah, it's
just the
on
way
the.
the building's built. It's
Yeah,
different.
there's security because it's on the property of the Atlanta airport
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You can't even get in without like prior,
You have to check in
passes
at a
and
gate and everything.
yeah, there's like a
Right.
card check there, so it's a little different from the LA Experience Center. But I don't know, man. Fingers crossed that that all still works out. We'll see what happens. But
Well, I can't wait to figure out a reason for your car to be on display in Los Angeles, whether it's the Peterson or Pecla or what, because I can't wait to see it up at Breakfast Club. I can't
that'd
wait
be
to see it
cool.
parked in
Yeah,
front of the Newcomb sign, because I
that'd
know
be
that
neat.
if it were
Yeah.
actually out here, you would drive it up there.
Oh, I'd find a way. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got the car insured and everything now, so I mean, there's no reason I couldn't drive it on the street. So we'll see. One of the owners of the other longtails, he drove his car all the way home to Utah a couple weeks ago, and it made it no problem. So
From where?
they're L.A. So
Oh, wow,
Thousand Oaks.
really?
Yeah,
That's
Thousand
good.
Oaks to
12,
Utah.
13
Yeah,
hours probably.
yeah, yeah. In that thing, man, that's. I don't know if I want to
Loud
do
and
that,
uncomfortable, huh?
dude. Like, I think an hour and a half is like my limit for that car. It's unbearable, even with earplugs, man. It's
If you
hot,
drove
it's
an hour and a
loud,
half
it's
someplace and got out, you're going to be sweaty, tired,
oh, a mess.
headache, like all the stuff, right? Because the engine's
All
right
the
here.
stuff. All the stuff, man. I mean, it's a rush. It's super cool, but at the same time, it's like it's not a comfortable car, and you're constantly stressed out. Like, can people see me? Did that person see me before I pull out? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's
I get it.
I love it, but the other day when we were filming, I was pretty much in the car nonstop from I don't know. I think we started at noon. I think we wrapped at like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Dude, I was so
Oh,
ready to get out of that car, and I mean, I'm wet. I'm freaking sweating. Like, ugh. But we got some beautiful stuff, so we'll see what happens.
that is crazy. That is crazy.
It'll be fun.
Well,
But
real
yeah, I'm
quickly,
excited for you to see the movie again. Like, watch it the second time all the way through, and I'm
same
excited to
here.
see
I
what you think
intended
of
to
it.
the other
Yeah,
day, and you know how it is. Life gets in the way, and it's
yeah.
kind of long anyway, and I just didn't happen.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
also,
not
you know
something
what
you
it
just
was? I
pop
got
on.
distracted because of the Ford factory in the beginning.
Oh,
After
that's
that
right.
Shelby of him driving around we talked about, they shut down the
Yeah.
Ford plant in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I have shot in that warehouse that they converted into the Ford plant. That's a
Yeah.
warehouse in downtown Los Angeles that they used for.
Yeah.
Actually, I just put those pictures up, but
Did you figure out what movie that was? Because
it was a
you
TV
were
show called
wondering.
Defiance.
Okay, cool.
It was
So you
on
did figure it
Sci-Fi.
out.
I've never seen the show. I don't even remember if we weren't shooting the show. We were shooting like a commercial for it or a
Oh, like a promo or something.
yeah. But you saw the
Cool.
scale of it. If it was only a promo, it was effing big.
Big. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it looked like a Mad Max Charger there or something. Like it was crazy.
That's
Like
exactly
all
what it
kinds
was,
of cool
and
stuff.
it's more than just. It's funny. It's kind of like we were just saying. Like you wouldn't do that now. You wouldn't do
Mm-hmm.
that shoot that we had that way now.
Mm-hmm.
You would put her in a room this size with a green screen
Mm-hmm.
behind her.
Yeah.
Oh, is there
Yeah.
the end of the world? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an
We did it
extravagant
all. We did
set.
it all practically, and that was only Girk 2 looked it up, and I think he said it was 2014, so only 6 years ago.
Wow. That's nuts.
Crazy.
I know the art director said that they've shot a lot of stuff there. Like I guess it's used quite a bit.
Oh, it
And
is.
then
It's used for tons of stuff.
and then I
It
think
was Inception. There's a car chase in Inception, and they go right through the same warehouse.
Oh wow,
The
how funny
Christopher
is
Nolan
that?
movie.
Yeah, yeah,
And then,
that's
did
really
you ever
cool.
see Jackass 3?
I'm sure I have. I saw them all. Is that
I
one?
have too.
That's
I
the
don't
one
even know
that.
if it was the third one, but one of them has something that is absolutely disgusting, and they do it there.
Oh, do they really? Is that
Yeah,
the
you
one
don't
where they
even see
like?
the warehouse. Apparently, they just needed a big open space to do some shit, and they rented that warehouse. But in the
Oh,
like
okay,
in the
gotcha.
wide shots, I'm like, that's I know exactly where that is. That's crazy.
That's so
I don't want
funny.
to go there now.
And then Henry Ford's office, that was the L.A. Times building. They used like one part of the L.A. Times building, I
Oh,
believe.
really? Oh,
And
I'll have to
yeah,
watch
it's
that
for
again too.
yeah, it's supposedly for sale now. Like the building itself, I believe, is for sale or has been sold, but it's not the L.A. Times.
All of
Like
those old
their
great
offices aren't
mid-century
there anymore.
buildings downtown were great. The Unical building you've seen in everything. It's
Mm-hmm.
from Mad. It was Mad Men. It was the Mad Men
Oh
before they
yeah,
moved to the Time Life building, and it was Anchorman. It's the station from
that's
Anchorman.
funny.
It's been in
Oh,
everything,
funny.
and
That's so
the just
cool.
like you were talking about the president, the CEO or whatever president's office is on the top, and it's like half the whole floor because it's a
Mm-hmm.
conference room. It's a secretary. It's a whole thing, fireplace, water feature, the whole thing. And it's been in every movie you've ever like Grandma's Boy. Every
Oh
frame is
yeah,
shot in that building.
that's
But all
hilarious.
those the L.A. Times, the old banks downtown. There was
Mm-hmm.
a newspaper, Herald Examiner, I think it was, that we used to shoot in all the time. God, you're bringing
Wow.
back crazy memories.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Crazy
That's
memories.
really
Gee
crazy.
whiz. Again, that arrest and trial show, the one I told you we rented all of the
Yeah,
picture cars for. It
yeah,
was the
yeah.
same one because of all of the picture cars. Because of all of the episodes, we needed. Like I think I told you, we did 190 episodes in however many
Mm-hmm.
months. So there was
Mm-hmm.
like 5 teams out. So however many picture car, same thing for locations.
Wow, that's amazing.
Never
That's
stop.
got to be kind of weird though, like living in LA because you're constantly driving past places that you filmed. Like, oh yeah, I shot that there, and like that's got to be weird. Do you do that?
Did we talk about this on the show, or did we talk about it in? No, I don't do that. But something has come up lately that's been problematic for me, and I think it's because of the
What's that?
COVID and everything. We've been staying in. This hasn't. I haven't done this at all. But when COVID first started, like the first month, I
Mm-hmm.
was I was playing video games. I was like, what do we do with my time? I was just occupying my time like for
Oh,
like
we did talk about this.
an
Los
hour and a half a
Santos.
day.
Yeah,
And I was
Grand
playing
Grand
Grand
Theft
Theft
Auto, right?
Auto, and it's
Yeah.
based in a loose interpretation of Los Angeles, like if Los
Uh
Angeles were an
huh.
island essentially, and all of the
Yeah.
surrounding areas, Palmdale. There's even kind of NorCal, whatever. But like
Yeah.
LAX is there, and the Playboy
Mm-hmm.
Mansion's there, and the Chateau Marmont is there, the Hollywood sign, Vinewood sign.
Yeah.
All of the stuff is real. You can drive through downtown, you can pass the Bonaventure Hotel, you can pass all the real stuff. But because it's a video game and it's not nearly as big as the actual map, nothing is really in the right place. It's all kind of generically in the right place. But if you play
Mm-hmm.
this game enough, Tori, you end up
Mm-hmm.
learning the map. So you
Mm-hmm.
know, oh, okay, I'll just take a right at the chateau, go left here at the whatever, and take a right at
And now
Carney's.
you're doing
All
this
the
in real
fake.
life.
This is all good and great while you're in your home and you're stuck here. What about when you go back to driving in the real world and you're like, oh, I'm
In the
just
real
passing the
LA.
airport. Oh, it'll be like 5 minutes. I'll be in the valley. Or you take a right instead of a left, or you think you're going one place. It's a weird thing that I
Yeah,
never
that
would
would
have
be
thought
weird.
could have actually happened to me, let alone would have.
I bet all the people that live in LA that play GTA right now are like, yes, that's totally true. Like I do that too. That's
And
so
it's not
funny.
like every street, but I mean like, oh, the freeway ramps. Like, oh, this one goes this
Mm-hmm.
way, and I know that it'll get me to, oh, wait, that's not true. Or, oh, I know if I get on the 10 here, it'll take me all the way to the beach.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
Yeah. I do that. So I do that with the airport because I know LAX like the back of my hand being a flight attendant. So like yeah, when we're driving like when I'm driving in the movie or in the video game or whatever, I'll look to the right and be like, "Wait, the Sheridan should be right there. Where's the Sheridan Gateway?" It's funny. It's so but then you get this weird deja vu when you're in the real place. It's yeah, it's trippy.
May I interrupt just for a moment because we have
You
Ray
may.
Schaefer's here. He says the split screen is working great. Love it. Thank you very much, Ray Schaefer. Gary says
Thanks, Ray.
Gary had to bail, but Ray Schaefer then says Tories 906 will be at PECLA, Atlanta, starting early August.
Yay.
We're excited for the stunt double of the Ford vs Ferrari to join us at the home of Porsche in America. That's so nice from the words of from the mouth of Ray Schaefer himself. Thank you for
I'm
tuning
super
in, Ray Schaefer.
flattered that they're so accepting of the car not even being a real Porsche. That's really cool to me. Like, I think that's a really, really neat thing, Because I mean, I think there's probably car companies out there that would be like, oh, well, it's not a real one, so we don't want it. But
I think you're
I think it
100%
did a
right.
lot. I think it did a lot to raise awareness maybe of 906s for like the new generation of kids that are out there. Like, what is that? That is really cool. I've never seen one of those. What are these other cars? Like, let's learn
I think
about
there
it.
are a few
So
elements to this, and I feel like you perhaps may not be giving yourself enough credit. I think Ray also has seen what you have done to that car, what you have put in, and it's not even just the movie car anymore. It is now an authentic. It now belongs in the Heritage
representation.
Gallery because it now celebrates the heritage. You
Oh,
now
well,
have all,
thanks,
and by the
man.
way, everything you put on that thing is basically the real stuff instead. You know what I mean? You kind of you
Oh,
made
it
it
is.
much more authentic than it
Trust
even
me.
was in the
Yeah.
movie.
Trust me. Yeah. Well, there's things on this car that aren't even on the real one that still exists. That's what's funny. I mean, I feel like I spent way more time on the decals on this car than, I don't
This
remember
is
what the
my
name of the
point.
shop is. Yeah, the shop in Germany that restored it. I mean, they didn't really. Sometimes I wonder if they even looked at a picture of the original in '66 because the decals are so bad. But I don't know. But that's the movie car geek in me. That's our past. We're good at that stuff, aren't we, Jay? I don't know. We obsess over little details like that. I think that's what helped me out.
Isn't that what we all do? Obsess over the details.
I think most of us do. Yes,
A
for
couple of these
sure.
car guys.
Yeah, a
I
couple of these
think
car guys
we've
for
gone
sure.
the hour. We should probably think about wrapping it up. Was there anything else we were going to talk about?
I would. You lost a hero today. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sad. Another one
Who
gone.
did we lose? Oh,
Your
Hugh Downs.
broadcast. Yeah, Hugh Downs.
Yeah,
The
Hugh Downs is a
broadcasting
big one.
like.
I mean,
That sucks.
the thing is, though, people nowadays probably remember him as the old guy from 2020 with Barbara Walters, if they remember him at all.
Right, but he was so much more before that.
For me, it was, I don't know if he's one of the first, but he was definitely one of the early hosts of the Today Show back in the day, like when it was black and white down on the street. He used to be the announcer slash guest host, not guest host, but co-host of the Tonight Show back in the day. So he used to work with equipment like this, and everything sitting right in front of
Right.
the old broadcast mic and all.
Yeah, when that thing was
Yeah,
wired up
he
for
just
real.
he was around forever. He did it all. He was one of those guys,
Yeah.
He was one of those old guys in that generation. There's so few of them left, and the truth is, he's the older generation even than Letterman. You know what I mean? Like Letterman grew up watching that generation. For me, for some reason, I'm just so immersed in the whole world of it all that I
Yeah.
celebrate the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I'm still connected. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not like upset or anything. I
Yeah.
just it was like, oh,
Well, he had a
that's
good run. He was
that's another
99,
one.
I think. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a good run. We should all be so lucky to live to 99 years old. That's cool. He saw a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah,
It's funny
absolutely.
though because like this week I've been kind of like looking at the old YouTube videos of the glory days. I think I posted about that on Instagram or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this great show that it from what I understand, Speed Vision kind of got the rights to a lot of the old worldwide ABC Wide World of Sports footage that they did of these races back in the day. And these announcers are just unreal. Like that's what made me mention Hugh because that's just a different. There you go. Exactly. You've got it right there.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
Oh, who
I
was
mean,
it? Was
those.
let's see, who hosted this? It was Howard Cosell. I don't know how to do a Howard Cosell. It was something like this. It lived somewhere around here.
But that era just had this character that you just don't see anymore. Like even announcers like Chick Hearn, like they just had this thing about them.
He's
This
an LA guy too,
charisma
right?
about them. Yeah, yeah. I think he used to do the Lakers back in the day. He was in the
I
Love
definitely
Bug.
agree with you. The old school. There's something about really
There is.
delivering the
They
work.
just had it. Like they crafted their words so much differently than announcers now. Like I know there's a formula to it, but their formula just seemed to work a lot better back then. And like the
Don Pardo
announcers
is
that
probably
are,
the most famous one that people think, from Saturday Night Live.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's Saturday Night Live
Yeah, I love that. Like you just don't see that a lot
with
anymore.
Ellen Cleghorn,
I love that.
Mike Myers, Dana Carvey.
There's
I
there's
used to
just
watch
this,
that guy do that shit live.
yeah, there's just this arc to their voice, and you don't hear that much anymore. And like the announcers on this Glory Days, like it was hosted by this guy named Dave Despain, who did a lot of like motorsports reporting, and he was amazing. But then they would like take it to the track, and it was these other guys that were from the wide world of sports, and I mean man, these guys were good. And I mean, they're like Johnny on the spot in the pits with their like interviews. And I mean, they're interviewing guys like Bruce McLaren and Denny Holman, like all these epic guys. And
All that
it's,
shit was always my favorite though, because it was so on the fly.
so
They're
good.
literally just sticking a mic
Yeah.
in somebody's face, sometimes right through the
Yeah, I
net
mean,
of the window, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. Like the guy just, blew an engine. He's pissed, but they're getting him out of the car. Like, what do you think happened back there, man?
Yeah.
Like,
How does this
you
make
think
you
you got to get
feel?
back in the race? Yeah. Well, how do you think it makes you feel? I had a lot riding on this race, damn it. But just so I've been binging those, man. Like, I wish Motor Trend would find that stuff and put that on, because I don't need to watch any more tattooed guys try and build a Dodge Charger in a week. I'm so sick of that shit, man. Like, that's just not a good.
But we have so
car
many friends
show.
on that
Like,
channel.
oh, it's.
And then there's a lot of new
I
shows
love
coming out, and
Wheeler
some of them
Dealers.
sound very similar.
I love Wheeler Dealers. That's one of the few things that I will watch. But all that other stuff, like, I just can't with that stuff. It seems like everybody's got a car build show now, and they're just not good. But, like, why is there not more stuff about history on there? There's just not. It's weird.
Did you? We're going long, I guess. Who cares?
We're going way
I have a
long,
quick
but-
question for you. Have you seen? Mrs. Ryan and I watched Rutledge Wood's new show the other day. Have you seen it? It's on.
I haven't
I
seen it
think
yet,
it's on. It's on one of the streamers. I can't remember which one. Have you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I don't know anything about it. What's
It's
it about?
called Floor is Lava.
Oh, he's doing that show? I know the show. I haven't. I
He's
didn't
the
know
best.
Rut
He's the
was
best part of it. He's the best part of it. The show is actually quite fun and adorable. It's kind of like Wipeout, but did you ever play Floor is Lava when you were a kid? Like you got to get from this room
course.
to that room without
Yeah,
touching the
yeah,
floor, with the jump from the cushion to the couch to the
Yeah,
chair, whatever.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
that kind of thing, but it's like Double Dare for adults. They just have a room.
So what is the lava? Because they said it's not
They
real
don't s-
lava, but it sucks. You're like,
Yeah,
tell
they
you?
say it's not. I read a whole thing on it. I can't believe you asked that question. In this article I read, they literally compared it to duck sauce or sweet and sour, so like from a Chinese restaurant. They said the closest thing is like Chinese duck sauce. I was like, ugh.
Oh,
Can't
is
you
it
just
that- I've
use
never
water?
had duck sauce. Like, yeah, I've never had duck sauce. I mean, is it that terrible?
Sweet, imagine a sweet and sour, but what it sounds to me like, that's the consistency. Like a anyway.
Oh, okay.
The show, I encourage you to watch it almost so that you can just tell me what you think, because we only watched the first episode and it just seemed incredibly produced, like really way too produced, and
Okay.
and there just wasn't anything there for us. But Rut's voiceover is not dissimilar to Wipeout with John Henson and the other guy. It's just funny to hear him. Oh, that was good. I don't think she's gonna make it, you know.
yeah.
And the
I'll have to
stairs
check
are
it out.
still. Don't forget, you know, all these crazy.
Yeah,
He's the best part of it for me.
yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you
it
like
sounds
Rutledge?
Double Dare for adults. Yeah. I actually met Rut when I had a Skittles Beetle that was it was raced in the Carrera Panamericana back in the 90s.
Oh, cool.
And he was at the track in Pittsburgh. What was he there for? Like one lap of America or something. And he's a Volkswagen guy. He's got like a crew cab bus, and he came over and was like, "Oh my god, I love your bug." And I was like, I watch you on Top Gear America." And so we talked Volkswagens for a little bit. But yeah, he's a really nice guy. Like
He is. Yeah, we met him once at the Long Beach Grand Prix when he used to do the Toyota race or whatever.
Yeah.
Very, very brief, but that's kind of what lets me know he was solid, because it was like he was in the middle of shit and he made
But
time.
he still
even though
made
it was,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a time when I'm kind of busy right now. You know, I would have been like,
yeah.
I could have understood if he had been that way. A lot of the other
Yeah.
people were that way.
Yeah, of course. No, I like Rut. He seems like the real deal, and he's got such a quirky taste in cars. That's what I love about him the most. Like, he could probably buy a Lamborghini if he wanted or whatever, but he's like tinkering with like Subaru 360s and like crazy stuff, like weird little minivans from Japan, and he's always got something cool going on.
You've always got your finger on the pulse of things. Was it you who told me that he was on Matt Farah? Did you watch that? Was it somebody else?
Oh, that must
Maybe
be
not.
someone else. I don't think I've
Okay.
seen his show.
Then never mind.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Poor
Like
Matt
recently?
Farah. Can we talk about him just real quickly? He's still
Yeah, let's
not
talk.
in his. We're just everything is. We're in a holding pattern until he gets his certificate of approval or whatever, occupancy, whatever you have to get
Man,
from
that sucks.
from the city.
'Cause that thing was
So I've got a
supposed to be open
closet
this
full of
spring.
gear here, and we've got a bunch of stuff to pick up, and he's got people like painting, doing whatever work they could do, but he can't move into the spot yet, so we can't build the studio. The room is built. It's done. It's painted. The shades are on the walls. The TV's hung. You know what I mean? But we can't move lights or any equipment or set stuff
man,
or
that
furniture. Can't move any of that
sucks.
stuff in.
That sucks.
Did, quickly though, I meant to talk about this earlier, and then this will be the last thing if that's all right.
Yeah,
I
I've
wanted
got
to
all the
say
time in the
very
world, but yeah.
quickly, huge thanks to Spike Ferriston, who came up to Breakfast Club the other day, and he brought his son Jack, which was very, very cool. And I just wanted to say, I think I told you this off the air, but he never knew the microphone story, and it through talking about him and his podcast and a studio that he may be building in the future, stuff like that. Through talking about all that stuff, I joked about the desk and he joked about the set, and I started telling him the microphone story, and one thing led to another. And after a half an hour, there's a circle of people standing at Newcomb's and listening to this story, and and after he heard it and everything, it was rather. I think I don't know if I told you or not. He's like, somebody's going to write that. He's like, somebody's going to write this story. I'm going to tell Jerry. So that would not
Awesome.
suck. That would not suck.
Please do. Yeah.
But what occurred to me after he had left, we were Mrs. Ryan. I think I told you, not been walking so well, so we're literally sitting on the ground in this circle at Newcomb's, and I realized. I looked at her and I said, it was about 5 years ago. Spike Ferriston was the first person I wanted to tell that story to. And I went to tell him at Malibu, and I started to one day, and he had no idea what I was about to say. And I was also totally, you saw me when I told the story on the show. Imagine a year prior to that, like the nerves and the kid who didn't have his shit together was all
I
back.
couldn't imagine.
So he basically sort of almost made fun of me and kind of got me to shut the hell up and go away.
Yeah. Go back to your table.
No, he was very polite and everything, but it made me, because I was not strong enough at the time or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know, because you saw how I regressed during that time and everything. So I became the little kid again. And I was like, I don't know how to get through. So whatever, that was no big deal. But what I was saying to Mrs. Ryan was, boy, 5 years ago that, and I go, now his kid knows who we are. Because the kid knew Yellow Car, and I was like,
It's amazing. It's really
now we're on
cool.
the radar. Okay, well, whatever it takes.
That's awesome.
Pretty funny.
I
But
still think
huge thanks to
he's
Spike for coming up to Breakfast Club. That was super cool. Bringing Jack. Hope to see you again. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Got to get.
It was just, it was one of those weird
moments.
moments where you have the realization of like, oh, that's really funny. And
Well,
and it wouldn't have happened had we not done this work. And not like there's anything, make it sound like all the breadcrumbs are there for Spike and Jerry Seinfeld to write our story.
Right.
Not saying that.
Right.
But do you know what I'm saying? It went from me
do.
not being able to tell him to a couple of years later him asking me about it.
What's cool about that is that story got told at Newcomb's as opposed to the Malibu Kitchen. That for me is
Oh, that's
cool.
funny. It never even
I
occurred
like
to me.
that. Yeah.
I'm not a
like,
turf guy,
almost
so
like-
it never really. I mean, you know what I mean. We don't
No, but
own
just
turf.
the-
It's not our thing.
But I think that was a cooler setting to hear that story probably than like a crowded Malibu Kitchen where people are taking pictures and selfies and whatever else. Like it's just you guys on the mountain. in
He
your
was so cool,
zone,
man.
In your happy place. I'm sure he loved
I f-
that it wasn't crazy, and that's probably a nice departure from the norm for him. I would think too. And it's such a
I don't
beautiful
really
drive
know,
up
but
there.
it's funny that you mentioned that stuff because he did say a couple of those things. He first of all, he was, so you started this, like, kind of surprised. I was like, well, we didn't really start it. It was like my wife and I started coming to breakfast, and then we started doing it regularly, and then we started posting about it, and 3 years later, here this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, here we are.
And he was like, well, this is great. And I was like, actually, this is kind of a medium light turnout, because there was only like, I don't know, 10 or 12 cars, 15 cars, something like that. And he was like,
Probably why
no,
he
this is
thought it was
perfect.
great.
This is exactly,
Exactly,
it's about the drive
exactly.
and
Yeah.
getting away, quite frankly. And not
Yeah.
from people, but getting away from the world, from the noise, from life.
Yeah.
In the
I
weirdest
talked to
way,
him
you get to
briefly
kind of
on-
escape.
Yeah, I talked to him briefly on Instagram the other day because I had pitched him a couple of those 906s, when they were coming on the market. I was like, hey, I know it's a replica, it's probably not your thing, but these cars are going to be available if you guys are interested. And so I talked to him after he had seen my buddy's 906, last weekend or whatever. He was like,
Right.
"Ah," he's like, that car looks so cool. He was like, and he's like, tell your buddy that won the day at Malibu. I was like, that's really cool.
It did.
Like he was really excited about that. So I thought that was neat. But he said that the drive up to Newcomb's was glorious in the GT2 RS. He said that was like just such a, because it's not his normal route. I'm sure he usually takes the Malibu canyons or whatever. But it's something new for him to try with
And
the
I don't know which way he
TORS.
came, but if he took 9 Mile, I mean, he really might have opened it up a little bit too, which you can't even do. There aren't even canyons in Malibu where you could open that car up
I would imagine not. Well, and Matt Farrell was
because
talking the
it's
other day when I was listening to his show that the cops have gotten really bad out there. Like, there's always
yeah,
cops now. So I don't know, man. It seems
it is
like
what
they're a
it
little
is, right?
cooler up there at Angeles Crest. So cool.
How do you feel? I feel like we covered a
I'm
lot of
great, man.
stuff.
We did cover a lot of stuff. Hopefully, we got to everything that you wanted to get to, and if not, we'll pick it up again next week.
Yeah, for sure. Are you good for Tuesdays?
I'm good for Tuesdays
It
for
doesn't
quite
matter to
some
me.
time.
It doesn't matter to me. I like checking
I
in with you every
know.
week, and other people
I'm
seem
cool
to like it too,
with
which is
cool
nice.
Tuesdays. Yeah, great. Let's do it. Tuesday it is. And maybe we'll
Um,
actually do Tuesdays with Tori on an actual Tuesday this time.
that'll be exciting. Like I said, I don't care what it really is, but that's
I
the
don't
name of
care
it.
either.
It
I
can
don't care
it can
either, man.
never
It's
ever
all
once
good.
be on a Tuesday. It's Tuesdays with
Yeah,
Tori, Wednesday edition.
yeah. Wednesday edition.
Kitty Cam, COVID, Petrolicious. Oh no, there is one more thing, but I'm not going to tell it here. I had always, but I do want to tease it here because I'm hoping maybe Spike can help us with this. I had, since I was a kid, always heard a story. Not always. One time I heard this story, and I'd always been trying to find out if it were true. I can't remember if I read it. I can't remember if I heard it. I don't know who I would have heard it from. I must have read it because I was still living on the East Coast. This is like 97, 98. Must have been after 98, like when Seinfeld went off the air. Something happened, and Jerry has a story that is not dissimilar to me and my Letterman microphone story.
Really?
There's a story, yes. And I said, hey, I always heard this story, and I said, blah, 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 blah. Did this happen? And I saw Spike's eyes roll back. Like, I saw him remember it all. Like, yeah, that did happen. And he started telling me a story, and it was very similar. And he goes, no, wait, that was another time. This one was, and he went on and he told me this whole story. I don't want to waste it here because it's not my story. Also, I don't have the details right as if one of them were telling it. But, I would love to, I implore, please, Spike Ferriston and or Jerry Seinfeld, please come tell us that story and or, at least Spike, get Jerry to tell the story on your show so that we can all hear it. It's I don't know if I should just say it. Spike knows what it is. There's a thing, and it's very similar. We'll call it the intercom story, the microphone story, the intercom story.
Now I'm
How's
intrigued.
that?
I want.
Is that
Yeah, I
saying
want
it
to hear
without
it
saying
now.
it?
Yeah, I would say
Great,
so.
perfect,
Yeah, you didn't give anything away. No spoilers there.
beautiful. Well, because to me, it's quite entertaining, but I don't know if it's only entertaining to me because of my history, or if it would be entertaining to other people. I think it's very, very interesting.
There's one way to find out.
I also asked Spike, I said, I always heard Jerry had the front door wall from the Seinfeld set. Is that true? And he's like, yeah, I think, I don't know if he still has it because he might have given it to the Smithsonian, but I think so, yes. I was like, that's cool.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's weird. Jerry also has a little bit of the Merv Griffin set in a little tiny weird way.
There you go.
All right. I love you, brother. It was great to see
Love
you.
you
Welcome
too.
back. I'm glad you're
Why, thank
recertified
you.
and everything. All
Good
good.
to be back. Flight attendant for another year.
I guess we'll see you on Tuesday. That's it for us. Have a great weekend. We love you all, and we'll see you out there. Love one another. Thanks.
See you guys.